Shabbat Shalom. This is Larry Mitchell with Friends of Israel. We are continuing our verse-by-verse study through the Apocalypse, through the revelation of Jesus Christ. This morning we are going to be looking at the introduction to the church at Pergamos. You know, if you're lucky enough to travel to Turkey and to visit the ruins of Pergamos, you'll be able to see the ruins of a large theater built into the side of the hill. There are pillars and foundations of impressive buildings, enough to excite any wannabe archaeologist. But sadly, the thing that probably most people would want to see is no longer there. That is the temple referred to in Revelation as Satan's seat. Revelation 2:13. I know your works and where you dwell and where Satan's throne is. Today, when you visit the city of Pergamos, you will see a few of the foundation stones of that temple, and there's a large, impressive tree growing right in the center of those ruins, but the temple itself has been moved to the city of Berlin and is found in the Pergamos Museum of Berlin. I've had the privilege of standing on the foundation stones where the original temple stood, and I've also gone to the Pergamos Museum in Berlin, so I have seen both the original site of the temple and the archaeological remains which are now in Berlin. Chasing a rabbit trail, I have often speculated that when the Germans moved the seat of Satan from Turkey to Berlin, I can't help but wonder if that had a bearing on the rise of Nazism, which would occur later on. Was the temple of Satan have an impact on the German people during the World War II, the Nazis, and the Holocaust? Just food for thought. Dr. J. Vernon McGee says this: the church in Pergama is representative of the church history during the period of approximately 314 AD to 590 AD. I call it paganism unlimited because during this time the world centered into the church and it began to move away from the person of Christ. This letter was Christ's message to the local church of Pergama, of course, but it also has this historical significance. John MacArthur: Pergamos literally means citadel, and it is the word from which we get parchment, a writing material developed from animal skin, which apparently was first developed in that area. Pergamos was built on a 1,000-foot cliff in a broad, fertile plain about 20 miles inland from the Aegean Sea. It had served as the capital of the Roman province of Asia Minor for over 250 years. It was an important religious center for the pagan cults of Athena, Dionysius, Bacchus, the god of drunkenness, and Zeus. It was the first city in Asia to build a temple to Caesar in 29 BC and became the capital of the cult of Caesar worship. W.A. Criswell says Pergamos, modern Bergama, the capital of the province of Asia, was also the site of the famous temple to the Greek god of healing. Thousands of harmless snakes inhabited the area around the temple. From the ends of the empire, people came to seek healing in this temple. It was at Pergamos that the parchment was first used as writing material, and here that the Attalid kings built a magnificent library of 200,000 volumes. David Levy: Pergama was a center of learning, medicine, and religious books. boasting a library of 200,000 volumes. It had become the home of many princes, priests, and scholars who wished to study there. Noted for marble carving, it excelled the other 6 cities named in Revelation 2 and 3 in archaeological beauty. Dr. J. Vernon McGee. First, let me give you the location of Pergamos. Izmir is the great city where tourists go because the airport and hotels are there. You go about 60 miles south to reach Ephesus and about 70 miles north to reach Pergamos. These 3 were royal cities. They vied with one another. Smyrna was the great commercial center, Ephesus the great political center, and Pergama the great religious center. Not only did Pergama boast great temples, but also the greatest library of the pagan world. It was a library of over 200,000 volumes. In fact, the city got its name from the parchment, pergama, which was used. The great library was the one which Mark Antony gave to his girlfriend, Cleopatra. She lugged it off to Alexandria in Egypt, and that library was considered the greatest library the world has ever seen. And it originally came from Pergama. So we're going to continue with our study of the city of Pergamos and what Jesus said to him, going verse by verse through Revelation chapter 2. This is Larry Mitchell. Shabbat Shalom.